The next short story we are going to be looking at is called The Hockey Sweater by Roch. This story was originally written in 1979 in French. The author himself is from Quebec, and the story was later translated into English. So Carrier writes about his own personal experiences growing up in Quebec. He loved to play hockey and loved the Montreal Canadian team. One day he required to get a new jersey, and he was sent the wrong jersey, so he had to wear the Toronto Maple Leafs jersey instead. And he was viciously mocked by his teammates, and his coach actually did not allow him to play. So this did obviously have a pretty substantial effect on his childhood. He felt the need to write a story based on it. It's a very, very well-written story. So well-written, in fact, that a children's book was actually made out of it. So I will post the link to the YouTube video to watch the children's book as well, if you would like. It's a very short read and a very short viewing if you do want to watch it instead.
The Hockey Sweater by Roch.
The winters of my childhood were long, long seasons. We lived in 3 places: the school, the church, and the skating rink. But our real life was on the skating rink. Real battles were won on the skating rink. Real strength appeared on the skating rink. The real leaders showed themselves on the skating rink. School was a sort of punishment. Parents always want to punish children, and school is their most natural way of punishing us. However, school was also a quiet place where we could prepare for the next hockey game, lay out our next strategies. As for church, we found there the tranquility of God. There we forgot school and dreamt about the next hockey game. Through our daydreams, it might happen that we would recite a prayer. We would ask God to help us play as well as Maurice Richard. We all wore the same uniform as he, the red, white, and blue uniform of the Montreal Canadiens, the best hockey team in the world. We all combed our hair in the same style as Maurice Richard, and to keep it in place, we used a sort of glue, a great deal of glue. We laced our skates like Maurice Richard. We taped our sticks like Maurice Richard. We cut all his pictures out of the papers. Truly, we knew everything about him. On the ice, when the referee blew his whistle, the 2 teams would rush at the puck. We were 5 Maurice Richards taking it away from 5 other Maurice Richards. We were 10 players, all of us wearing, with the same blazing enthusiasm, the uniform of the Montreal Canadiens. On our backs, we all wore the famous number 9. One day, my Montreal Canadiens sweater had become too small. Then it got torn and had holes in it. My mother said, "If you wear that old sweater, people are going to think we're poor." Then she did what she did whenever we needed new clothes. She started to leaf through the catalog the Eaton Company sent us in the mail every year. My mother was proud. She didn't want to buy our clothes at the general store. The only things that were good enough for us were the latest styles from Eaton's catalog. My mother didn't like the order forms included with the catalog. They were written in English, and she didn't understand a word of it. To order my hockey sweater, she did as she usually did. She took out her writing paper and wrote in her gentle school teacher's hand, "Cher Monsieur Eaton, would you be kind enough to send me a Canadian sweater for my son, who is 10 years old and a little too tall for his age, and Dr. Robitaille thinks he is a little too thin? I'm sending you $3, and please send me what's left if there's anything left. I hope your wrapping will be better than last time." Monsieur Eaton was quick to answer my mother's letter. 2 weeks later, we received the sweater. That day, I had one of the greatest disappointments of my life. I would even say that on that day, I experienced a very great sorrow. Instead of the red, white, and blue Montreal Canadiens sweater, Monsieur Eaton had sent us a blue and white sweater with a maple leaf on the front, the sweater of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'd always worn the red, white, and blue Montreal Canadiens sweater. All my friends wore the red, white, and blue sweater. Never had anyone in my village ever worn the Toronto sweater. Never had we even seen a Toronto Maple Leafs sweater. Besides, the Toronto team was regularly trounced by the triumphant Canadiens. With tears in my eyes, I found the strength to say, "I'll never wear that uniform." "My boy, first you're going to try it on. If you make up your mind about things before you try, my boy, you won't get very far in life. My mother had pulled the blue and white Toronto Maple Leaf sweater over my shoulders, and already my arms were inside the sleeves. She pulled the sweater down and carefully smoothed all the creases in the abominable maple leafs, on which, right in the middle of my chest, were written the words, Toronto Maple Leafs. I wept. I'll never wear it. Why not? This sweater fits you like a glove. Maurice Richard would never put it on his back. You aren't Maurice Richard. Anyway, it isn't what's on your back that counts. It's what you've got inside your head. You'll never put it in my head to wear a Toronto Maple Leaf sweater. My mother sighed in despair and explained to me, if you don't keep this sweater, which fits you perfectly, I'll have to write Monsieur Eaton and explain that you don't want to wear the Toronto sweater. Monsieur Eaton's an Anglais. He'll be insulted because he likes the Maple Leafs. And if he's insulted, do you think he'll be in a hurry to answer us? Spring will be here and you won't have played a single game just because you didn't want to wear that perfectly nice blue sweater. So I was obliged to wear the Maple Leaf sweater. When I arrived on the rink, all the Maurice Richards in red, white, and blue came up, one by one, to take a look. When the referee blew his whistle, I went to take my usual position. The coach came and warned me I'd be better to stay on the forward line. Just a few minutes later, a second line was called. I jumped on the ice. The Maple Leaf sweater weighed on my shoulders like a mountain. The coach came and told me to wait. He'd need me later, on defense. By the third period, I still hadn't played. One of the defensemen was hit in the nose with a stick, and it was bleeding. I jumped on the ice. My moment had come. The referee blew his whistle. He gave me a penalty. He claimed I jumped on the ice when there were already 5 players. That was too much. It was unfair. It was persecution. It was because of my blue sweater. I struck my stick against the ice so hard it broke. Relieved, I bent down to pick up the debris. As I straightened up, I saw the young vicar on skates before me. My child, he said, just because you're wearing a new Toronto Maple Leaf sweater, unlike the others, it doesn't mean you're going to make the laws around here. A proper young man doesn't lose his temper. Now take off your skates and go to the church and ask God to forgive you. Wearing my Maple Leaf sweater, I went to the church, where I prayed to God. I asked him to send, as quickly as possible, moths that would eat up my Toronto Maple Leaf sweater. So very quickly, I will just go over the short answer questions, and then you can get started. Number 1, where were the 3 places the narrator lived as a child? Explain each. You'll notice that lived is in quotation marks. It's not actually physically where Roch Carrier lived, but just where he spent all of his time. Number 2, describe how the narrator looked while playing hockey. So describe what his uniform looked like, how his hair was done, those kind of things. Number 3, what team did the narrator's uniform resemble? Why do you think that team was picked? Explain. Number 4, what uniform does the narrator not want to wear? Why does he not want to wear this? Number 5, why did the narrator not like the new jersey he had to wear? Explain. So number 4 and 5 go hand in hand. The responses will be very similar. Number 6, why do you think hockey has become such an important part of Canadian winters? This one, it is a paragraph answer, so I'd like 5 to 8 sentences. So for this one, you can talk about why you think hockey is so important. Many of us do enjoy watching and playing hockey, especially in Saskatchewan due to our abundance of snow and cold weather. So very quickly, I just want to show you how to find the read aloud if you're interested. Like I said, it was made into a children's book. So in YouTube, just type in the title, The Hockey Sweater, with the author, Roch Carrier, and then you can type in read aloud beside there. There are many different options. I would personally just select the first one. And there you go. It's right there for you.
Our arena is closed right now, and the NHL